Hello, Lama from BarcoDev here, and welcome to the second part of our character customizer tutorial series. In this tutorial we are going to create all the functionalities for the widgets we have created in the last episode and basically finish everything we need before we are going to implement a done button, which you can then use to transfer the selected attributes into the actual gameplay level. As always, you can get all the project files on our Patreon. But let's get right into it. So let's start by opening up the widget blueprint for our attribute selector, and in the designer we're going to select the buttons and turn them into a variable, but first let's name them into button back, the left one, hit is variable, and button next and hit is variable. Can now save compile and also take the text, and we're going to take text underscore attribute, like so, is variable. And what we're also going to do is wrap this horizontal box by hitting right click, wrap with a vertical box, so we can then take a new text, put that into the vertical box, put it up, select that, put it up here, center it, and we're going to call that text underscore attribute title, so it actually has a heading and you know as a player what you're actually changing. And while we're at it, I'm going to change this font size to 24, like this, also centered on the vertical axis. And once that is done, you've got everything set up in the designer, and we can change into the graph editor. Let's delete all of this, and we can start by creating some variables. First of all, we're going to create the current index, which is an integer. And we are also going to create attributes, which will be struct, or how have I named it? I think it's s underscore attribute. Yeah, that's the variable type for that. So we have our struct in here, and you're also going to hit the little eye icon and also expose on spawn, because later the attribute switcher will be created runtime, and then we will pass the attribute it's managing over here. And now we're going to create the construct event again. And the first thing you will have to do is going to take your attribute title get. We're going to take our attribute and we're going to break it. And now we can set the text of the attribute's title. So go over there, hit content text, and we can connect that. And if you now drag out of attribute name, it will auto convert that to a string and set that text, so the title will be set. And now we can also create an event, which we will need under event dispatcher. Set the plus over here, and we will call that cycle attribute like this, and it will need some inputs. So you can, when you've clicked it, you can go down here, go to inputs, and we're going to need 3. The first one is just back, which will be a boolean, so either it's back or it's not. And also we're going to pass the current index, which will be an integer as well, and we're going to pass the attribute struct, which will be s underscore attribute. And we can now compile save. We can now go ahead and bind cycle event to cycle attribute. And if you now drag out of here and create a new custom event and call that on cycle attribute, and we can see that it's already populated with all the outputs which the event has. And yeah, we can now go ahead and first of all get our current set our current index to whatever is coming out of here. And we can also take our attribute we have here, not this one, and break it. And we can now get the current get the array element at the index of the current index. And we are going to take our text attribute, which is the attribute text which will show the currently selected attribute. And we're going to set the text. As for the title, we're going to connect that, and you can now take the mesh name list thing you've gotten and to text, and then put it into the set text like so. Perfect. And we're also going to add a little delay here, like 0.01. And once that is completed, we want to call cycle attribute, just so the we're also going to put the attribute into here, just so the initial value of the selected attribute will be populated. Otherwise, it will always stay at attribute until someone has pressed that button, and that's not what we want, which is why we're doing that. And let's just comment that out and construct, because that concludes the construction. And we can now take care of the buttons. We're going to start with the next button, and we can drag out here and call cycle attribute if that is pressed. And we can duplicate that, because if we now take button back and connect that into here, we've got that. And now we want to check back, because it's actually back. Make a little bit space here, because we are now going to take our current index. We are going to add 1, and then we are taking the modulo, so the little percent sign, and we're also going to take the attribute thing. We're going to break it. We are going to take the mesh list and take the length, and the modulo should be the length, so we don't have to hard code that into there, and that will be the current index. And we're going for the attribute. We're also going to put that into here and into here. And for the back button, we are also going to take the current index, but this time we're going to subtract 1. And if it's less than 0, we are going to take a little the length minus 1, so subtract minus 1. We're going to put let's select. I want to we're going to have to drag out of here and select int, like this. And if it's false, we're going to put that into here, and if it's true, then we want to put that into here like so. Is that right? Pick a, yes. And then we can put the selected thing into here. That just makes sure that if we are going back and it's under 0, that we are starting at the top again. Yeah, and it's basically infinite looping, and you can click back how often you want. And yeah, that concludes the button logic. \next, like so. I think you could arrange the nodes a little bit better, but that's the concept. It's not that deep. And yeah, that already concludes the attribute switcher, so we can close that now. And now we can head over to the char selector. And if we now go to our scroll box, we're going to have to attributes. We're going to have to name that into sb_attributes, hit is variable, and save that, so we can then go ahead and use that in the graph, because we can delete these two. And on construct, the first thing you will have to do is to clear children, like so. And after that, we're going to get data table row names from our created data table. And with these, you're going to use a for each loop, so we loop through everything, and you're going to get data table row, get a data table row like this, and the row name will be our array element, and the data table will obviously be data table attributes like this. And with these information, you can now, when row is found, create a widget which will be from our attribute switcher class, and the out row will be the attribute we are going to pass. And we are also going to get the player controller and put that into owning player like this. And we are going to take our scroll box like so and edit child, which we have cleared before. like so. So the attribute switcher is then in that. And we are also going to bind events to cycle attribute like this, and we're going to create a custom event and on cycle attribute, just like in the attribute switcher itself. We are going to call an event which we will be creating now, the event dispatcher over here, and on attributes cycled like this, and we'll also have no, it will only have two inputs this time. The first one will be the current index, like so, and the second one will be attribute struct, which will be from the type attribute as attribute, and we can now call on attribute cycled like this, and we're going to put the current index into here and the attribute struct into here, and that concludes our char selector. Structs. The logic should not be in the char selector itself, because that's only the widget managing the char selector. We will be creating the logic in the blueprint, but we can already test, because now only hair is in here. We can already cycle through, and yeah, that will be fixed later. All the entries in the data table will now be populated in that widget, but the functionality is not working at the moment because we have to catch that event. And we are going to do that in our BP char selector. So let's just open that up real quick. And I've just noticed one thing I've forgotten. We want, after we've created the widget and added it to player screen, we want to set input mode UI only, because I was not able to see my mouse. And we also set show mouse cursor. We want to set that to true once we've added that, so we can actually use the widget. Perfect. And once we've done that, we are going to give me a second. Yeah, we're going to bind to the event. You can drag out of the char selector, because you might have remembered we've created an event in that right now. So we're going to bind event to on attributes cycled like this. Gets a little bit messy here, so let's just create some reroute nodes. God damn. And compile save. It does not work because I have actually not binded an event yet. So drag out of that, create a new custom event and call it on attribute cycle like this, and we can now compile. And after that we will be creating a sequence, but I will show you later what's that for, because first of all we are going to break the attribute struct we're getting out of here, and we're going to take the attribute name and no, actually let's first create the get components by tag node, and we are going to search for skeletal mesh components, and the tag will be our attribute name like this, and we're going to get the 0 index because it will always be at 0. We're going to get the current index from our mesh list, and then we're going to take this skeletal mesh and set skeletal mesh asset, and the new mesh will be the current selected index out of our mesh list. And what's happening in here is what we're going to set up now. We've got the main skeletal mesh, which does not really matter at the moment, and we've got our hair, for example, and if we go into tags, we can see there's no component tags, but you can now add a tag, and this one should be hair, because if we open our data table real quick, we can see that we've called it hair, like the row name and it's the attribute name. So the exact same thing which is here in the attribute name has to go into the tag of your skeletal mesh asset, so the onAttribute cycle can actually find it. And yeah, in the sequence we are going to set the leader pose component. So we're going to get our skeletal mesh, we're going to get our hair, set leader pose component like this, and first this one, and we're going to put the skeletal mesh into there, and we will be adding some more for that, because we will later have the beard, the shoes, pants, glasses, hair, tops. So hair, beard, shoes, pants, glasses, hair, and tops. So we need to do that some more times, but I've not created them at the moment. But we will do that right away, like this. Put that into here, that into here, that into here, two more, like so. And yeah, put the skeletal mesh into all the new leader components. That's just so every attribute mesh we have added that it's actually following the main skeletal mesh, and now it's obviously throwing some errors because we have not added that, which is kind of annoying right now. But let's just duplicate that one time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 6 times, and first we've got the hair, we've got the beard, we've got the shoes, we've got the pants, we've got the glasses, the tops. I think I've created one too many. 6. Yeah, it's 6. Okay, so we've got the hair already, so let's continue with the beard. Put that into here. Take the glasses, put that into here. Let's just put that right next to it so it's not that confusing. Glasses, we've got the hair, pants, shoes, like this, and tops, like so. And if we now compile save, that's that, and that's working. In a second we're going to add the tag for everything, because at the moment everything has had. Oh, let's just do it right away because I think it will be buggy if we don't do it. So that's beard. Just remember that we will have to create the data table rows with the exact same name basically. So beard, glasses are glasses, hair is hair, we've already done that, pants is pants, and shoes is shoes, tops is tops, like this. If we now compile save and start, we can see that if we change the button, if we click the button, if we change the attribute, it's his hair will change. But I've noticed that we actually have an error right here. So let's just go to set text. Oh wait, should not be that. I think I have to switch out this node, because that's not the one I want. So let's just create an empty select, put that into here, and if it's false, it should be that one. If it's true, it should be that one. Put that into here, and I think now it should work. Okay, it turns out I'm actually just really stupid. We have to go into the char selector, and we're going to have to select all of these and give them no starting mesh. And if we now go ahead and open that, we're going to see that it's actually working as expected. Perfect. And now we can start to add all the other parts in the data tables. So let's just open the actual data table on my other monitor, just so I don't make any more mistakes. We need some more entries. We are going to need glasses, beard, tops, pants, shoes, and we're going to name that glasses. We're going to name that beard. We're going to name that tops, and we're going to name that pants, and this one will be named shoes. Like this. We now go into here and call it glasses, and we're going to name the beard one beard. We're going to name the top one tops. We're going to name the pants pants, and the shoes will be named shoes. And we can now add 3, because I've got 3 meshes. And if we now over glasses, take round glasses, square glasses, and over round square, like this. We take the beard and do the exact same thing. Chin beard. The other one was a same underscore. How's it named? Mustache. And was it goatee? No. I don't know what our last beard was, to be honest. Let's just do 2 for that one. Delete, and we can add 2 here. Chin and mustache. But that should actually be enough to show how it's working, because we have now got 6 entries and 3 of them are actually filled. And if we now start, we are getting nothing in here because it's not filled, but we've got glasses, we've got the chin beard. We can change between between the attributes, and that's basically it. I'm not going to assign all of these in this tutorial because that's just time waste. But yeah, you know how that works. If not, you can join our Discord and ask your questions. But that concludes the character selector setup. In the next tutorial, we're going to take care of actually transferring these selected attributes into the level by creating the player state, and then just giving the properties over to the actual gameplay level. But that's something for the next tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you understood everything. Everything's working for you. As said, don't hesitate to join the Discord and ask your questions, or write a comment here on YouTube directly. And see you in the next one. Bye.